Yo, 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 what's going on? This is episode 11 of Gimpy Bytes, the only place on the internet that my dumbass is aware of that where disability and gaming combine into one fine point on the space time continuum. As always, I am the captain of Gimps.
And I am the Zenist of Burros.
Yeah. And this is a special gorilla episode of Gimpy Bytes. And by gorilla episode, we mean unedited because we're in the middle of transitioning between ISPs, and that makes uploading YouTube videos extremely difficult for the time being. So hopefully next week we'll be back in top form. But we found something really cool to talk about today for a little bit. It's called the Jouse system by a company called Compusult, which can be found at compusult.net. Links will be in the description. It's pretty cool, dude. So if any of you have ever needed a case as to why video games should support simplified input mode or customizable inputs completely, this would be it, because what it allows the user to do is use their mouth to control the character on a screen. Originally, it was intended for productivity, but people have since adapted it for gaming, and the company seems to support that wholeheartedly, allowing users to customize the functions that are mapped to each thing that they do. Why don't you tell people how it works?
Okay, so it's a USB. It has a USB attachment. You put it into your computer. It uploads the software, and it has this. Was it like a joystick? Would you call it like a joystick shape?
So yeah, okay. So we're talking about quadriplegics who can't use their limbs, right? So this thing has a mouthpiece with a swivelable thing that acts as a joystick, and
it has some disposable mouthpieces, because it involves. All right. To move a cursor, you have to move your head like this, and then to do a left click, you do like a sip, and then to make a right click, you do like a puff, like an exhale, and that's how you operate it. And the example that I encountered, and I showed him this, and he was like, "Oh shit."
Yeah, we got to talk about that.
Yeah, he's a quadriplegic gamer. He's known as No Hands Ken, and he was featured on the news this year, actually, a couple months ago.
Global news.
Yeah, global news. And he plays Diablo 3 like a beast with this device. And he's gained quite a following on Twitter, and
something like, what was it? It was either 127,000 or 27,000. It was probably 127,000. Dude's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's something like that. And after I showed him, he was like, "Wow, that's pretty awesome."
I almost cried.
The fact that there's an assistive technology that enables you to enjoy games like Diablo 3, and pretty sure you could probably play MMOs and stuff with it too.
Some of them I'm pretty sure you could. There probably are some MMOs you could play with that. Some of the newer ones that are coming out that are action based, I imagine it would be extremely difficult, but some of the older ones, like WoW, for sure, like you could probably do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, that wasn't a joke either. I might actually cry talking about this, because, like, this is the reason I decided to do this video thing in the first place. Because, see, here's the thing, okay? This is why things like simplified control options are so important, because some people are not using a control as we know it. Some people aren't using a keyboard because they literally can't. So if you offer a pared down version of the control scheme that can be mapped onto a device like the Jouse 3,
yeah, the Jouse,
or Jouse, I don't know how you're supposed to say this, but we'll have the video of the guy like playing Diablo 3 in the description. It's really, really cool. I encourage you to watch it. But this is exactly why I've been harping on the whole, like, we need simplified controls, we need more options, because the basically, like you'll see in the video, the dude suffered a horrendous back injury on the job some years ago, and he became profoundly depressed, and it was because his nurse was like, "Hey, I think I have something for you," and she brought that in with a laptop and Diablo, and dude was hooked, and it allowed him to be social where normally he'd be shut up.
Yeah, and that's the important thing. Isolation is always...
Dude, isolation is so bad for this up here. So bad.
Yeah, and especially in... this is a little bit of a rant. I've noticed that people who are quadriplegics, and if they have no outside social support, like a social... social support, they tend to get depressed really fast, and that's never good. And you can talk about this as well, because you and I have both known people in that situation, and they can't do the things that they normally can do.
See, here's the thing. Even if you're born quadriplegic and you're quote-unquote used to it, being used to it essentially means that your social life is extremely limited, because you need things like a hoist to get you into bed, you need round-the-clock care, and it leaves very little room for something that feels like it belongs to you, right? So what ends up happening is a lot of people in this position end up feeling like they're just dead weight, and without anything to do where they feel like they're achieving something, like, and I don't want to diminish gaming as like some sort of pseudo replacement for achievement, but engaging in a community is what's important. And a lot of times when you're quadriplegic, you spend a lot more time at home than the average person, just by necessity, right? So
Yeah.
that's why video games are so goddamn important to people with disabilities. I mean, best case scenarios, you see guys playing wheelchair rugby and basketball, and you know, doing stupid shit like zip lining with their chairs still strapped to their ass and things like that.
Yeah.
But that's not all of us, man. You know, my body's fucked up enough as it is. I really don't feel like putting myself in a situation where I could make my mobility worse. That's just me. I'm all for the adventure, but like, I have to consider I have to stick with this body a long while longer, and I have to think about that. Not everybody is a straight up adrenaline junkie, and video games offer a good way to engage with people when you otherwise feel you might not be able to.
Yeah. I forgot to mention, this is available on... This works on Windows, Macintosh, Linux.
Yeah. And other Unix-based operating systems.
Yeah.
And iOS and Android, which technically Android is Linux-based, but yeah. Actually, so is iOS. But...
Yeah, so it's a very versatile technology.
Yes, it is. And if you know anyone who needs it, I'm pretty sure you can find ways to finance this thing, like for real, because I had a friend who had a similar device for navigating Windows, right? And he was able to get the state to pay for it. If you have any sort of knowledge of that, like, help people out, man, because sometimes this is the lifeline to the outside world that people need. So
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this episode was a little somber. I guess my mood's kind of somber right now, but hopefully my idiotic smile makes you guys feel happy, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah.
And promise not to do another guerrilla style episode for a while. It's just you know, things happen.
Yeah.
And I thought this was way too cool to wait a week and not give you guys a video because, you know, yeah, when you find something cool like that, you kind of want to get it out there as soon as you can, and sometimes you got to come at it like unedited, unfiltered, and fucked up and raw. So,
yeah. Alright.
Until next time, this has been, I guess, I have been Captain Gimpy, and
I've been Zenburo.
This thing
Zenburo
has been the
Eon.
donkey. The donkey. Oh, we'll see you guys next week.